welcome to this week's episode of Speaking of Business. I am your host, Pierrette Raymond, and my guest today is Amy Friesen from Tea&Toast. You and I have known each other for a few years now.
Yes.
Through my home transition business, Moving Forward Matters, and it's such a delight to have you as a guest this week. You and I are both on a very special journey as well. We're finalists for the BYA's Business Women of the Year Award. You're in the emerging entrepreneur category, and I'm in the established entrepreneur category. So you're absolutely going to love getting to know Amy a little bit more. We're at the Good Companion Center. I want our guests to know, why did we choose this location? I think it's a great location to do the interview. Plus, they offer some really good services to the members of our community. And we also want to talk about Amy, her journey as an entrepreneur, what you've learned. You're now a mom. You have pets as well. It's a busy life. And you started something else as well. So how about you tell our viewers and our listeners about yourself and what brought you to do the work that you do today?
Sure. Thank you for having me, Pierrette. I work in the community here in Ottawa, and so a little bit about my journey is I am from near Kingston, and I've been in Ottawa almost 20 years now, and I was doing some schooling, trying to find myself, trying to figure out what I wanted to do, and I found the retirement industry. So I got into the retirement industry 15 years ago now, which seems like forever. And then I really wanted to make more of an impact. So I decided to start Tea&Toast. We've been doing that for 5 years now.
Right, wow. Yeah. Time flies, doesn't it?
Yes.
So why Tea&Toast? Why that name? I love the name. So tell us why Tea&Toast.
Sure. So Tea&Toast is a play on words. So for people that are in the industry looking at the situation, Tea&Toast for seniors is very warm and friendly. It's easy. A lot of their nutrition comes from that if they're in the position of looking for retirement living and what we do. And also for their children, the Tea&Toast is more of a like a red flag. It's a nutrition issue, and so that when people are looking and they're in they come into my realm, Tea&Toast strikes them at a certain point of their search, and they say, oh, this is what's happening, and either it's a negative or a positive, but either way it brings them to have a conversation with us.
So while we're having that conversation, let's talk about Tea&Toast.
Sure.
What is it exactly that you do?
So Tea&Toast, we specialize in retirement living, as well as we're specializing in long-term care navigation as well now. And we help people find the right retirement home for their loved ones or themselves that actually fits them, as opposed to what used to happen is they would come to the homes and try to fit into a retirement home. So we're trying to fit the retirement homes and the long-term care to a certain aspect to them.
To their needs.
Yeah,
what they need
absolutely.
Specifically. And I know it's overwhelming because with Moving Forward Matters, when the phone rings for us, they're looking at, okay, now we need to move. We need a new home. We need to downsize. We need to move either to a retirement residence, another dwelling, and a condo even. And your services come in very handy in terms of, where do we go from here, right? What are the next steps? How do I even navigate the realm of long-term care or a retirement residence? Because there are options, because you are in that field, you know what to recommend.
And being in Ottawa, generally speaking as well, in the retirement home world, there's 80 plus options. So, there are some clients that we have a lot of options for that we have to whittle down, and there's some clients that have one option. And we have to go back and forth between the different types of clients and needs.
So talk to us about this new endeavor. So you've started something else as well, and what is that specifically?
So it's called thelocalsenior.com. So thelocalsenior.com is a community for businesses to come together and help people who are looking for senior services. They go on, they list with us, they become a member of our site, and by doing that, they're bringing everything to one platform. So when we come across families who are looking for senior services, they can come to one spot instead of having to scour the internet, pages and pages and pages of searching. And sometimes they don't even find, that special little gem of a service because it's on page 26 of Google, right? So here is a place where they can come together and find what they're looking for. And so we're going across Canada. Right now we're launched in Ottawa, and we're launching a couple of categories, and we're going towards Toronto now.
Fantastic. Wow. Lots going on. So that's the professional side of you. So you've got Tea&Toast and you've got the local seniors. It's a hub for businesses to be there, be present, so that services can be easily found by members of our community. Right. We're at the Good Companion Center. Let's talk about your connection here. It's something really special, and why we chose this location for this interview.
Yeah, absolutely. So I've been working with the Good Companions for almost 15 years now. When I used to work in the retirement homes, we would do blood pressure clinics. We help support them. We would do luncheons and things like that. And tomorrow I'm actually receiving a Business Excellence Award.
Congratulations.
Thank you for the work that we did with the tornado that just happened in September, and also for our Santa for Seniors program that we paired up with Elizabeth Briere, the Good Companions, and ourselves to do.
And the Good Companion Center, for those that don't know, this is a great place for those members of the community who want to stay active, who want to be engaged, who want a community around them. This is a great place to come and also be supported that way. There's a wall in one of the hallways where all the activities are posted. So you simply can choose what you want to participate in. It's also available online, so really wonderful resource for those in our community.
They do a really good job letting the seniors in the community know, as well as their family members, what's going on. They host a lot of different types of activities here, and they also do a senior center without walls, which means that it's an online community as well. So the people that are isolated and can't get out, they're trying to address those people as well, and that's what the Santa for Senior program was as well. All the people that we could get into our database that were isolated seniors that didn't actually get gifts or didn't have families, and we were able to give almost 350 gifts this year to them.
That's great.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Let's talk about your entrepreneurial journey.
Yes. What a journey.
Yeah, well, that's part of the Speaking of Business show, is let's put the the emphasis on what you do, but behind what you do is the person, right? The person running the show. And I think it's important that we cast the light on some of the things that we've had to go through as business owners to get to where we are, and some of the lessons that we've learned, so that we can impart those and share those with our viewers and listeners. And I know that you've been in business for 5 years through Tea and Toast, and now launching something new. But before that, there are some things that you've had to do and get over to get to this point. So what are some of the things that you had to get through first, the biggest challenges you've had to get through to be where you are today?
Some of them, we all talk about different failures in businesses and things that we go through as business owners and just as employees as well. And some of them, being able to be passed up for some of the bigger careers that I was looking at. That happened a couple of times, trying to get this experience in the retirement industry, but then not quite getting enough, and trying to balance that. And at one point even looked at leaving the retirement industry because I couldn't get to where I wanted to be. And then I found out I was a bit typecast into the retirement industry, and that's your spot, and so figure out how to use it. So then I had to figure out how to make the industry work with me, but accomplish more than what I was accomplishing, because I couldn't quite get my finger on what I wanted to do.
And did you feel limited based on what you were doing, and now being an entrepreneur opened up more opportunities for you?
Yeah, I found myself, I couldn't provide what I thought the community needed in one home. It didn't matter which retirement home it was. It's just a matter of the one home. I couldn't get what I needed, and I know what the community was looking for, and I couldn't get there. And so I was constantly kind of hitting a wall. And then this industry opened up a little bit just before I started it. I started Tea and Toast, and so it was opening up, and so I thought I would jump in and try it. Definitely couldn't, like I said, I was a bit typecast, so I couldn't really leave the industry to try something else. And all my experiences in marketing and psychology, but then when you have 9 years of retirement experience, then what do you do, right? So
So how did you start Tea and Toast? So how did that journey of you working at retirement, was it one retirement residence, or did you bounce around a couple?
I've worked in 3 different ones.
3 different ones?
Yeah, in marketing.
And then what was the impetus for you to say, you know what, I'm going to branch out, I'm going to do this on my own, and what was that first step for you?
Sure. So the industry for advisors was starting to come up in Ottawa. It's been a bit bigger in Montreal, but it started to come up in Ottawa, and there is things that were going on in the industry. As any new industry, there's pluses and minuses. So some of the stuff I didn't really like, and I wanted to be able to change, or knew I could make an influence in. So I wanted to do this all the while being employed at a retirement home, and then I was laid off. And so it was devastating for about half a day, and then I was like, oh wait, now I can do it. So I jumped in, and as you know, jumping from a full-time career with benefits and full-time pay to nothing is devastating. But then if you can focus your energy and you can move past that. So it took me about 2 months, and tea&toast was up and running, and then we had our first move-ins maybe 2 months after that. So
I remember when you were first starting.
Yeah.
So Moving Forward Matters is in its 9th year, and you're in your 5th, so we were 4 years old at that time.
Yeah.
And hearing about advisors coming through was such a blessing. It really was a blessing, because we were working with clients who were going through the process of downsizing, but they weren't sure where to go.
Yeah.
And we knew the retirement residences, but to sit with somebody and make that, give them the information that will really help them to see what is really helpful to them, what do they need. It filled a need that was absolutely there. So that's why 5 years later, you're still going strong.
Well, it's amazing when you sit with families how fast, like, we know how fast we can do it, but thorough, right? So, you know, even sitting with us for an hour, even having a phone conversation with us for 20 minutes, like, we can get it in order that quick and be able to tour very, very quickly right after that. So,
And the other side of that is your experience.
yeah.
You can't buy experience.
No. Yeah.
And the experience that you had working in those retirement residences really gave you a solid foundation. But what are some of the pros and cons of different places? Because they all have their pros and their cons, and they don't fit for everybody.
Well, even as things as little as, like, people wouldn't consider that, you know, the retirement homes get bought and sold all the time as well, right? Just like any other business. And I've been through that as an employee, and so I know what the transition in-house is like. And so things like that we alert our clients to as well, because there's an upheaval when homes get bought. So it's like just one of the things that we know about, that we can say, hey, like, this is happening, just so you know, and then this is the change in care level that's happening, and this is kind of what happens when someone's bought and with the employees, and just like kind of giving them an overall knowledge that they wouldn't have actually thought about needing.
Or knowing.
Right, and moving into a home in the middle of a transition, you know, it compounds the issues. So, you know, they can always make their decisions. It's on them of what they'd like to do, but we like to inform as much as possible.
So for you, here you are, 5 years down the road, running 2 businesses now.
Yeah.
A mom.
Yes.
To little Eva.
Eva, 14 months old.
Yeah. She's a doll.
Yeah.
She is gorgeous. And when you and I met for coffee a few weeks ago, she doesn't stop smiling.
No.
Maybe at home she does.
No.
No, she always smiles.
Yeah.
Oh, she's just a happy, happy girl. Just love her.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that transition now of you've started your business, got married, had a baby.
Yeah.
Now you're a mom running 2 businesses.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
It's a bit of a circus.
Yeah, I've done it too. I've had the young children running 2 businesses, and I absolutely understand that it takes organizing. It takes a lot of patience. It takes blocking time for family, blocking time for business, and they do interweave each other. What has been the greatest lesson for you in being a mom and an entrepreneur that you would share with somebody who's either thinking about being a mom while they run a company, or they're now a mom and they're maybe overwhelmed? What have you learned that would be helpful to them?
I think to know that there's no specific time. Like, you can't plan it. You cannot plan, okay, I'm going to have a kid here, I'm going to start a business here, and it's like, you can't plan it. So it's like, okay, like, this is the time in our life that we're going to do this, so we're just going to do it and hope it works out. Right? For
well,
the most part,
you will make it work out.
Right? You make it work. And
Absolutely.
it's like trying to like make sure, like, I try not to work on weekends and nights, because I only have a certain amount of time when between picking up Eva from daycare and her going to bed. So it's like there's only a certain amount of time. So just making that work a little bit better for me. It doesn't work terrifically all the time. Right. And so, like, as a mom and an entrepreneur, you're hard on yourself as well. And so it's just trying to, like, get over that part and be a little bit nicer to myself, which is difficult.
Yeah, you know, that whole putting yourself first at the top of the priority list is something that I talk about a lot.
I'm still working on that.
Yeah. It takes a conscious effort. It takes the support of some family, your spouse for one, and then family members, friends who, you know, let me help, and saying yes to that help, and also blocking off some time for yourself, whether it's, you know, a half hour in the tub or a half hour for a walk, whatever it is. Yeah. So how big is your team? I want to talk about team now. I want to switch gears a little bit, because you're not a solopreneur. You are a solopreneur when running your company, but you have a team.
I do.
So it's not just you running everything. So talk about that transition of moving from you doing everything yourself to now bringing somebody on board to having a team. What was that like for you?
It was a little pukey, I have to tell you.
Yeah.
That's the only word to describe it. It's just, when you go from having your own company and knowing where all the moving parts are, and even though it's overwhelming, you still know where all the moving parts are. Now we have at tea&toast, I have 4 consultants now, as well as strategic people, coaches, blog people, social media, VAs, like a lot of extra people, right? And so it's not just me. And so that frees up my time to do other things and work different parts of the business, but also like you have to be able to let it go and just hope and know that you have the right people in place, right? And our team jives so well, they get along so well that they can bounce ideas off of each other, and they're learning from each other, and then they call me, if they have a really difficult case, or they really need some insight on something. So we all have different strengths that we can play towards each other.
And that really helps team culture, right?
Yeah.
Because it unifies the team.
Yeah.
What are some things that you've done that you've really helped your team to mesh and mold to each other?
I think finding the right members.
Absolutely.
So I'm fortunate enough that everybody that's worked for tea&toast has found me. So I haven't really had to do a hiring spree. I haven't had to do a lot. It's been very specific people that have searched me out and want to work for tea&toast because of multiple reasons, but and they have fit the best because they truly knew what they wanted, right? So it's about making sure that they all they get along to a certain extent, but make sure they all respect each other, and make sure they're all here for the right reasons, and we all have open communication that way. And that's been the most gratifying, being able to see them grow as well, right? And every time I'm on a Zoom meeting with them, we meet online once a month, and then we meet in person once a month, and then there's here and there depending.
Right.
But every time I'm on a Zoom meeting, my little boxes get more and more because there's just more. It's like the Brady Bunch.
Yeah.
It's like the squares on the Brady Bunch.
The family's growing.
Yeah, and it's like super exciting for me to see everybody on there, right? And everybody's laughing, and they're sharing stories, and it's like challenges, and everybody has work together mentality. So.
And that's the beauty and the challenge of when you grow a team.
Yeah.
Is to ensure that you have the right people there who are there to support each other, respect each other, as you said, and support the vision and mission of the company. Yeah. So that they're not individually having their own vision and mission, but together you're working. They have goals, obviously. They have their own inner drive that's pulling them forward, and it's to support that too. Well,
what I love about all the members, like from my immediate team to my extra team, as well as they actually see my vision, and they're all working towards kind of what I'm telling them my vision is.
Right.
And then even sometimes when they're in the clouds and they don't really see it, all I have to say is like, you've trusted me up till now, right? And yep, I've trusted you up till now. So it's like, okay, like let's just take this extra step, right? With the long-term care navigation is perfect. We're just launching it right now. It's like I just know, right? Like it's just like this is where we're going, and that's been how I've operated a lot of my business, and why I'm doing the local senior now, because I have this internal drive of just like I need to make it better. I operate on a be helpful basis, right? Everything I do is to be helpful. So it's every time, even though operating 2 companies is a lot, and I'm balancing at home, and it's quite stressful. So it can be quite stressful. I just have this inner burning desire to do it, and I can't control it. I just can't help myself.
That's when you know when to pivot.
Yeah, I just can't help myself.
It's
I want to help.
I'm staying in the same lane, and I'm going to just stay the course, or you know what, let's pivot and bring this with us and test it, because you have to test it.
Yeah.
You don't know if it's going to work until you try it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you have to try different things, and to have the team come on board with you. It's all part of managing and business growth.
Well, and the team's so solid that I can pivot myself, and they can still be giving great service. And I mean, you have a good team when somebody's got enough clients that's really good caseload for them, and we're like, they're on commission, we're working a commission role, but they say I've got enough clients and I want to keep the quality up, and I'm going to give this client to another member.
Perfect.
It's like your dream, right? It's like you're actually passing off what would be a commission client for you, which is amazing.
Yeah, that's great.
So they can operate tea&toast, and we all operate together, but they can take the clients where I can pivot and make other things better, right?
One of the last questions I wanted to ask is, one of the things that I'm really focused on is helping entrepreneurs, visionaries, executives really tap into their gifts, and stepping fully into what they're feeling called to do, and to have that, make that impact. What has been the driving force? You said one thing is just to make it better and to be of service. Is there an underlying story? Like what comes up for you and like, is it a client story, a family member? Where's this drive come from for you to help the seniors in our community? Why is this so important to you?
I think it started because I just don't have access to my grandparents, and they died young, and so I didn't have access. So I really enjoyed the industry from that point. I was always around seniors, and even now I'm bringing EVA into retirement communities and stuff, right? So I'm always doing that. But then just through my experience, I've just seen so many gaps in the system, and we actually get called upon for a lot of different things more than what we actually do, and just trying to fill the gaps. So it's just, if I can fill a gap here and fill a gap there, and we can move and maneuver, the same with the local senior, right? It's just, we get asked for referrals all the time because there's no centralized community for it.
Right.
And so if I can just help a little bit here and help a little bit there and eventually tie them all together, we'll have a solid system.
Seems like that's what you're doing.
I'm doing my best.
You're doing great. Well, thank you so much for being part of the Speaking of Business show.
Thank you.
As a closing comment, what would you like those that are listening or watching this interview who are on the cusp of making a big decision in their business, in their lives, and it's going to help them to push through maybe a fear or something that they've been holding themselves back? What advice would you give them?
I think that in the many years I've been in business, I've honed my gut. I've honed my intuition, and I know that my husband doesn't necessarily understand that as well, but like, it's just about trusting yourself, and you may leap and it might not work, and just recover from it as quickly as you can, and try something else, or just change it just a smidge. So just really go with what your intuition's telling you, and really just make it a giant leap.
Right.
Yeah.
And test it out.
Test it out.
Can you share your websites with our viewers and listeners?
Sure. Yeah. Tea&toast is at www.tea&toast.ca, as well as thelocalsenior.com.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Amy.
Thanks for having me.
So for more episodes of Speaking of Business, you can go to speakingofbusinessshow.com. You'll see all our past guests there. Would love for you to comment, share, and participate. So if you have an entrepreneur, someone who's in business that you admire, I'd love to speak with them. So thanks for being here.